Good morning. Let's talk about the weather. The Atlantic might have tropical activity. Look at this. We have Atlantic Disturbance 1 and Atlantic Disturbance 2, both of which are now labeled by the NHC for potential cyclone development. We're going to get into the details on this. Severe weather today across the states, including a tornado risk in the Midwest. We also have 3 straight days of slight risks ahead. The CPC continues to show a cooler trend. There's some crazy updates to our Super El Nino this year that might blow your mind. We're going to talk about them in this video. We clearly have a lot to talk about. Let's get started. Just how I started my last video, I just wanted to show you, look at all of this wildfire smoke spreading across the east. Now, a lot of this is up higher in the atmosphere as you get out east, and a lot of this out west across portions of Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon, Washington is more near the surface. So likely you're not experiencing as bad of air quality out over the plains, out over the Midwest, but it's definitely pretty bad up in the Northwest. There's all the fires on the fire temperature satellite. About a dozen. We have all sorts of things to talk about in this video. The tropics, severe weather, a big cool down, but I quickly wanted to address what's going on with our El Nino because it's kind of crazy. Here's the sea surface temperature anomalies, and you probably noticed the big red blob in the middle of the Pacific, really the middle towards the eastern Pacific. We have strong El Nino conditions right now. We're not officially in a strong El Nino, although we will be likely in a couple months. As you can see, we're about to go off the chart. Once you get to that plus 1.5 there, you're in strong El Nino territory. We're pushing past that, and the projections are crazy. This visual right here is especially crazy. So 150 years of El Ninos, and then this. Peak monthly intensity of every El Nino event since 1877, each versus its own era's climatology. The 2026-2027 forecast median 3.6 degrees Celsius clears everything by 0.8 degrees Celsius, almost a whole degree Celsius. Even the ensemble's 10th percentile grazes the record, meaning even if it's not as aggressive as a lot of scientists think it'll be, it might still break the record. And if it does what we think, it'll obliterate the record. This is crazy stuff. So this article is from about 2 weeks ago, and it's gotten a little bit more wild since then, but it says this El Nino is set to be the largest on record by a mind-blowing margin. A whole degree Celsius above a record, that would be a mind-blowing margin. You can see in this top sentence, the El Nino climate pattern that is strengthening in the Pacific Ocean is on track to be the largest one in the last 150 years. Right now, we're seeing all the markers of very vigorous atmosphere-ocean coupling across the equatorial Pacific Ocean, which is giving us more confidence we will ultimately see a very strong El Nino, very super El Nino, that would rank amongst the strongest El Ninos in our historical record. This is actually from a separate article, but as we said, this El Nino right now could surpass the second strongest El Nino in the past 150 years by almost a full degree Celsius. This puts it into context. So for context, the gap between the strongest and the 5th strongest El Nino of the past 150 years is only about 0.5 degrees Celsius. We're trying to double that. This is interesting as well. The phenomenon is developing faster than usual, and I keep seeing this because the heat in the Pacific has been ramping up much faster than the majority of scientists or meteorologists that were studying this thought it would. So we're way ahead of schedule right now. This year's El Nino event is intensifying more rapidly than the 97-98 event, another super El Nino. It also differs significantly from the 2015 event, which began when the ocean was already showing signs of prior warming. In other words, it had a running start. That's particularly striking because this year's began with La Nina. We actually started with cooler than average waters in the Pacific. So it had a bit of work to do before it got going. Last thing I want to cover on this, and then we're going to get back into all the other weather stories today. The research findings were presented this week during a briefing organized by Berkeley Earth, during which researchers talked about other impacts associated with El Nino. That includes economic losses caused by the uptick in extreme weather. A study by Justin Mencken, a climate scientist at Dartmouth College, found that damages from the 97-98 El Nino event reduced global economic growth by approximately 5.7 trillion in the years that followed. If current projections are accurate, the episode currently unfolding could result in cumulative economic losses of around 10 trillion by 2032. And now I actually like that they put this in the article. One challenge with forecasting an exceptionally strong El Nino, though, is the lack of historical analogs. Models are fed historic data, so it remains to be seen just how accurate their record-breaking projections are. They're projections, and we have a very small slice of history that we're looking at, and in science, you like to be working with a lot more information, a lot longer of a period, preferably. The models appear to be converging around 3.6 degrees Celsius average, giving forecasters confidence that the world is in for some serious consequences. All right, we'll be talking about that a lot more in upcoming videos, but right now I want to get over to the tropics. I want to talk about the cold air on the way for the states and the severe weather. Let's start with the tropics really quickly. Here's the North Atlantic, and guess what? The NHC is actually saying we might get a tropical cyclone or 2 out here. You can see Atlantic disturbance number 1, 20% chance of cyclone development over the next 7 days. Pretty simple. Atlantic disturbance number 2, 40% chance of development over the next 7 days. You can see we've got some tropical waves coming off the African coast. They're lining up here. We've got some spin in the atmosphere. We've got some moisture. Definitely a possibility. Bottom right corner of your screen here, the wind shear in that area is not too bad. So so it is in a favorable area for developing, at least wind shear wise, although there is some pretty strong wind shear right over the Caribbean out ahead of it. So we'll see if one or both of these develop into a tropical cyclone. It may see some shear out ahead. Let's take a look at some models. This is the Google DeepMind FNV3, and why is it putting a category 3 off the coast of Florida? Don't worry, this is over 200 hours out. Just interesting to see. We're getting some development in the Atlantic on these AI models now. These are the European AI ensembles, and you can see tons of potential tropical activity out here as well. And don't worry, for people who don't trust AI, this is the European operational, and it sees the potential for tropical development as well. The Pacific is still collecting the infinity stones. Apparently, you can see this yellow, orange, and red area of concern from the NHC. Pacific disturbance 1, 90% chance of development over the next 7 days. Number 2, 50% chance of tropical development over the next 7 days, and then 10% over the next 7 days. So just a ridiculous amount of activity in the Pacific. Again, the Pacific is likely going to have a record-breaking year. It's definitely on pace. Oh, and by the way, here's the Western Pacific. We have Typhoon Dolphin making landfall right around Wenzhou, China. And then we've got 2 tropical storms out here as well. So insanity. Just wanted to show you a closer look at this one. Typhoon Dolphin making landfall just to the north of Wenzhou. Shanghai's to the north. We're probably having a lot of storm surge on the northern side of this system. Water's probably moving away from coast on the southern side of this. And again, a ton of rainfall. So hopefully everyone is prepared out here. They've had some time. All right, let's get to the U.S. weather. We have some cool air on the way. We also have severe weather to talk about today. Marginal slight risk across portions of the northern plains, upper Midwest, and normal Midwest. You also got a marginal up there in Maine, western Carolinas, northeastern Georgia, and then down there in Arizona. But the area I'm watching really today is up here, obviously. Tornado risk, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, southwestern Michigan, a portion of Wisconsin and Iowa as well. We've got the most significant wind risk across portions of central South Dakota, and that most significant hail risk today across portions of western North Dakota and then northwestern South Dakota. By the way, this tornado risk stretches east across Ohio tomorrow, with that wind risk as well shifting more east, including portions of the mid-Atlantic. And then continued severe weather for portions of the Ohio Valley, mid-Atlantic, and Midwest as we get into Tuesday. And then it continues. We already have a day 4 slight out here, so we really have to watch Wednesday. Anything past a day 3 means the SPC could be a little bit concerned, so definitely something to watch as we get into Wednesday out there. And then we'll be watching eastern Wyoming, southwestern South Dakota, and western Nebraska on Wednesday as well. Let's talk about the timing for our severe weather today. As you can see, nice 500 millibar jet, and we have some short waves developing over central to southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, southern Wisconsin. So it could be pretty organized. A decent 850 millibar jet pushing up from the south. Now, where we have some of this wind convergence or shear convergence is where we're going to be watching for the potential for some tornadoes today. I feel like the tornado threat should actually shift a little bit out to the west, but we'll see. The SBC, again, does have that tornado threat from eastern Iowa out through northwestern Ohio. I would say pay attention if you're up in southern Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, northeastern Iowa. Definitely have some good shear out here. We'll have some instability as well. Here's the latest HRRR, some strong storms moving through southern Minnesota this morning. We continue to push forward. And then the HRRR really doesn't see much. Maybe some strong thunderstorms near Milwaukee or Chicago around 3 or 4 p.m. Those continue to push off east, Grand Rapids, and then potentially out towards Detroit from 5 to 9 p.m. But look at this. Late into the evening, 8, 9 o'clock, we get some strong thunderstorms in northern Illinois. That's something to watch. And then those storms could push off east through northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, and southern Michigan. And then getting into tomorrow, check out Ohio, western PA. We could be watching as we get into the late afternoon and evening hours this region for some strong to severe thunderstorms as well. And I'll give you more details on that tomorrow. Freezing Arctic air is on the way. No, I'm just kidding. It's just a little bit below average summer air, but some people are really going to appreciate this. That's why we're talking about it. Unfortunately for you guys down in the southeast Gulf region, we've got what we like to call southeastern ridge. So you're going to be locked in that warmth. It's also going to likely keep you dry for a little bit. Take a look at this. Strong El Nino, you say? Yeah, it's very strange we're staying dry down there, but a ton of precipitation is on the way for the west, which is good because of all the fire concerns. So as we get into the second week of August and we move forward, it looks like we're going to get some relief out there. Here's the latest GFS bringing in our cooler air as we get into the end of next week, Thursday, Friday. So could be pretty nice for portions of the plains, Midwest and Northeast, although you can see some of this heat is still remaining trapped down here in the Southeast, potentially Southern plains. The Euro agrees we're staying pretty warm down here, but notice the Euro really doesn't pull this cooler air into the Midwest, pulls it over towards the Rockies, Northeast, Mid-Atlantic. Interesting. We do get a cool down in the Midwest, as you can see there, but it's a little bit lagged. Now, the Euro and GFS do have another push of cold air at the end of the run. It's pretty far out though, so we're not going to entertain that too much right now. More on that to come. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video and every time I go live. Haven't been going live much, but I will be a lot more soon, trust me. There's a reason I built this whole extension you're seeing. We're going to have a lot of fun forecasting in fall, doing live coverage in fall, and especially getting into winter, live winter storm coverage. I'm really excited to be going live a lot more like I used to. If you want to join the best weather Discord out there, click the link down below in the description. It's completely free. It updates every day, multiple times a day. All the weather information you need is in there. Trust me, it's awesome. Again, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video or the next live stream. See you guys.